The Industrial Revolution was a great time of progress for humanity, where we basically invented the factory and the assembly line. Products could now be created with multiple different, highly specialized steps that we could start replacing by machines who could do these tasks much faster, much more efficient than actual people. But there were still people, and we applied this same reasoning to people. We stopped treating humans as this multi-dimensional, highly complex being, but we forced them into doing specific things. Your job is screwing this one little screw into the iPhone. This is what the world looks like today. And while it is very efficient in terms of resources and time and allowing us to produce a lot of products, it also made it so that we look at other people as being simple and one-dimensional, and we forget how complex and beautiful and interesting other people can be. So I want to push this a bit in the other direction. Think about, how can I be someone who's really a complete person? So in this video, I want to go over 5 principles, 5 ideas that really guided me and are guiding me in becoming this universal man. So let's go. Let's dive into it. I've been building websites for 19 years. Yeah, I was 7 years old when I built my first website. And while it was fun, I would always have this clear purpose in mind. My first websites were pages where my friends could log in and have their own little personal page dedicated for them. Or my mom would be saying at the school she was working on, there were some things missing in the tools, and then I would think, oh, I'll just make it for you. Or when in class, we would have exercises where you needed to explain something or be in front of the class, I would always ask, can I turn this into a video? Because I loved creating videos. So the first principle here is work project based. Find goals, find projects that give you a reason to learn something. Every week on a Sunday, I look at my life vision. I call it my manifesto, and it's a note in my notes. And I wrote down a list of all the categories in my life or areas in my life that I find important. And for each of those, I write down a vision of how do I want this to be? How do I want this to feel in my ideal life? And that really helps me because it reminds me of all the aspects of your life. Imagine your life and your skill set and the different areas are spokes on a wheel. What you want is that the wheel is round so it can actually roll. And after the wheel is round, you want it to be as big as possible. And so it's very important that you look at those things again and again so that you know which areas need work on and which areas need improvement on and which areas you're very good at. So round the spokes of your wheel of life. In university, the way I studied for exams was basically different from everyone. Most students would start like this when they have an exam. They took their notes or the book, they put it on the desk, they flip it open, and they flip to chapter 1, and they would start reading or copying or writing down or summarizing. The way I did it was, I closed the book, I put it on the other side of the room, I went to the computer and I found an old exam, I printed it out, I put that in front of me and I started solving it. Now, the first days of studying were extremely hard. It would be an exam that you would have like 2 hours for it to fix it. And it would take me 2 days to get through it because I didn't know what was going on. And so I spent a lot of time on each question trying to figure out what the answer would be. And only then, when I really couldn't figure it out, I would give in and go to the book and figure out what it was. So it was always a bit scary because the clock was ticking. If you're 2 days along and you only answered 5 questions that you have no clue what the teacher is going to ask on the final exam, that was kind of a scary thing. But somehow it always worked out. And of course, there were, on some exams, questions about topics that I was reading, and I thought, I never learned this. But on the other hand, it was the perfect preparation because what you need to do, what you need to learn is actually retrieve the information from your mind. You don't need to learn to copy things. You don't need to learn to summarize things. You need to learn to remember and to retrieve the information. I know it might be tempting to, with every problem you have, to just go to Google and try to fix it immediately. But if you actually take the time to think, then the thinking becomes easier and your ability to retrieve the information becomes easier. And over time, combining that capacity with a broad knowledge base, that will help you come up with answers so much quicker. It's not something that you will be able to fix with looking at Google. Or if you need to fix it by researching it, you know exactly what to look for. So your ability to retrieve the information you have in you is very, very important. And think before you search. A few years ago, my thinking about books, non-fiction books, really changed. Many people have this idea where they get a book and they feel like they need to read it from the first page to the last page. And someone explained me this idea. You know, when you have friends, you see your friends once in a while. Some friends you see more often, some friends you don't see it often. Sometimes there's a short period of time where you see them like every week, and then you only see them once every few years. But every time you see your friend, you have a conversation. And if it's a good friend, it's an interesting conversation. And you learn something about them or about the world or about their life in general. You're not sitting there with your friends 24 hours a day for 2 full or 3 full weeks so that you know everything about them. No, every time you see them, you learn a little bit and you talk about the things that interest you at that point in time. And it's the same with books, really. You get a book and maybe there's 1 or 2 chapters you're interested in. It does not make sense to go through the other chapters because you just won't absorb it anyways because you're not interested enough in it and you have the book. So anytime you need it, you can just take it out of the closet. So what I do now is when I want to read a book, I flip to the table of contents and I look at what interests me and I start reading those things. And when I'm done with it, I put the book back. And I have a rough idea of the books that are in my closet, so I kind of know when to look at which books, and I just take it out and read it and maybe refresh my mind or maybe learn something new. Another great thing about books is, you have it's this information here, but it's also highly, highly edited. Making a book, it's a complex process. It's really difficult. It takes a lot of time, and most of the time, authors really do their best of condensing and structuring the information so that you can understand it very well. Learning from condensed information is really crucial if you want to be good at everything. You don't want to spend 5 years having to research every single part of your life because then your life is over by the time you've learned, 10 different things. So you want to learn from highly condensed information and highly edited information. And just learn the things you're passionate about the moment you're passionate about them. Now, this is a mistake I've made in my life's work of trying to become good at everything, or at least a lot of things. Just this summer, I met a new group of friends, and it was really the first time where I got to know a couple friends that are actually into the same things as I am, into personal development, into personal growth, and they're amazing. They achieve so much, they do so much, and they do like the right things, and it's always full of insight and amazement to what these people are and what they're actually doing. And I also received for the first time a bunch of compliments and people seeing how much I've actually worked on myself and all these areas of life that I found interesting. It's the first time that people actually noticed, like, oh my God, you're good at so many different things. And at that point I realized that I never really took the time to celebrate and to look at the grand vision of this, I want to be good at everything. I never knew kind of my process and my progress there. I never realized that I was actually moving ahead and getting better at all those things until someone else pointed it out at me. And so these are 2 lessons here. It's one that make sure you have a group of people who are interested in the same things as you, because they will show you a side of you that you didn't realize you had. And second of all, please, please, please know the grand vision, set goals on higher levels, put it in your calendar each month, a different topic that you're learning, so that afterwards You know how much you've done, you know how much you've learned, and that gives you all this confidence, that gives you this ability to know that, yes, I'm doing the things that are important to me and I'm getting better at so many different parts. It's so important that you celebrate, and so please do this. Now, where do you find that highly condensed information? How do you track your progress, your journey throughout getting good at everything in life? And where do you find the other people who are interested in the same things as you are? Well, that's my work. I have my note system that I organize and where I summarize everything I learn, because I feel like you should not start with the same 5 years of research that I've done on a topic. You should start with the 20% of the most important parts. Then you can decide, A, I want to dive deeper into this because I'm interested in it, or I just take this highly optimized, perfectly burrito efficient knowledge and I continue doing more, because I don't want you to have to go through exactly the same path as I have gone to. So if you're interested in this information, in finding that journey, in getting together with a group of other people interested in the same things we are, in becoming a universal man, check out the link in the description and sign up. And I hope to see you there. If you are interested in more things, be sure to check out the rest of the videos on this channel and subscribe so that the future content goes to your inbox. Thank you for watching this, and I hope to see you in another one. Bye bye.